you would have definitely had that test done prior. Now you're only doing it for future customers. Hey, what up, doing? Welcome to the Middle-Aged Muscle Man Musician, aka Donald Pump. Please remember to hit subscribe and tap the bell for updates. I've got a lot of backlog content that I'm dropping, and also things like the 6-week challenge progress and stuff like that. Also, a few more supplement reviews. I'd splice some of the progress and stuff like that in this video, as well as some of Greg's content that I'm answering. But to be honest, I'm behind in my Adobe bill. So, hey, if you want to give a couple dollars to Donald Pump, it's $Don Verb on Cash App. Anyways, to get to the topic of this is basically in response to Greg Doucette's video that was a response to Jeff Nippard's video, where Jeff Nippard was basically saying, here's, I believe it was 5 supplements that are a waste of your time and money. And Greg responded back to the turkesterone part of that. So, of course, Greg's going to be the one to answer that, and it's great that he's being transparent. I'm just kind of on the integrity train lately, and it's quite obvious that, like a lot of people indicated in the past, he doesn't get in front of things necessarily for the ethics involved. It's basically for a business decision, and I'll kind of show you why. Just as a recap, what started this whole turkesterone controversy, which I'll link my video right here that kind of goes over what happened. A certain supplement company that I'll get into later, and there's some intrigue there too. They basically paid to do a study of Greg's Turk Builder, but it was also, I believe that Gorilla Mind's product fell under this umbrella, and many, many others, because there's only a few suppliers of quote-unquote turkesterone. There's the air quotes again. And they found that there was no turkesterone, essentially, in Greg's product. Greg being Greg decided, hey, wait a minute, I believe my results. I believe these other guys' results. There's something to this. He paid for a mass spectrometer reading on everything. And what the results were is that there are a ton of ecdysteroids in his product, basically no turkesterone. The original study was right, and the original test. And what was in there was a bunch of ecdysteroids. Ecdysterone, I think, was the most prevalent one, but there are many of these. There's actually more than the 13 that are believed to be in existence in this particular plant. So, what was actually found out was, hey, I was selling you ecdysteroids. I never said it. In his new video is basically saying, hey, I never said that Turk worked. I never said that these results were necessarily from turkesterone. I never said there were human studies on turkesterone. None of that kind of stuff. In fact, I always said, I don't know. Well, here's what's interesting about that, in my opinion. Throughout the video, he deflects to some other turkesterone retailers, although he doesn't name them, and kind of skims through a page of them and basically makes it sound like it's everyone. He basically makes turkesterone to be the villain in this story. Fast forward to the end of the video, he simply remarketed Turk Builder as Ecdy Builder and made it to where turkesterone no longer exists on his website. Any claim, any result from turkesterone, any of that kind of stuff, he basically makes turkesterone the bad guy. But you got to remember what really happened here. Okay, number one, he can't just rebrand to ecdysterone and stop selling Turk as an indicator that Turk doesn't work, because his supplement never had turkesterone in it. He has no idea if turkesterone works or not. So to kind of deflect and make turkesterone the negative in this situation is honestly laughable, but somewhat genius. And the fact that he's quote unquote transparent and getting ahead of this and being honest, and yeah, that's all great. But I'll ask you guys this. If he knew, based on the studies that he cites, that he says he's always cited, and he has, if he knew that ecdysteroids gave you some sort of results, and he wasn't sure about turkesterone, why wouldn't he have sold you ecdysteroids? Okay, fine. Let's play devil's advocate and say that he bought into it. You know, like he's not wise about this kind of stuff. And he thought, hey, there's a possibility here. Let's give it a try. Okay, that's fine. But so you got to remember what got him in the clear, supposedly, in this was that he paid for an additional test to see what was actually in his own supplement. Now, if he actually cared about your results, cared about your financial situation, cared about his own integrity, why wouldn't he get that test at the beginning of all this? I understand. I trusted this supplier. Well, number one, you kind of knew that the testing agency for this supplier had a lot of negativity around their past testing practices. So you were just going to trust this on blind faith, and you're going to trust it on blind faith for something you don't even know if it works. That's interesting to me. I mean, that really stands out to me. That basically says that this manufacturer had the lowest price. Nothing to do with quality. There's no way it had anything to do with quality. If you were concerned with at least selling what it said in the label you were selling, or that you indicated that you named, you would have definitely had that test done prior. Now you're only doing it for future customers, which is smart because in this situation, a lot of companies wouldn't have a future customer, at least for that product in particular. I'll give you an example. I go to the grocery store, I buy a can of pineapples, I open it up at home, it's olives, okay? The olives are amazing. Best taste results I've ever had in olives, right? So, you know, and the company does actually issue something because millions of these were sold, and they say, hey, we know it was just olives. What we're going to do is we're going to, you know, rebrand that label. We're going to sell it as olives now. Hope you're not mad. Enjoy those olives that you really liked. You know, the majority of you guys really like the olives as much or more than the pineapples. Now, when I go back to the grocery store, am I going to buy that manufacturer's olives? No. What I'm going to probably do is buy the olives that are on the same shelf that probably they're in a glass container, so they are more transparent and are maybe the same kind of olive. But I'm not going to buy from that guy because for all I know, when I open his can, it's just going to be, I don't know, fucking green beans. You know what I mean? Like, so you lose a lot of integrity there. It's great that you address it and say, hey, everybody, you know, we made a mistake, but who wouldn't? And he points out that none of these other manufacturers are going out of their way to say that, oh, our bad. And he skims through a bunch of them, like I said earlier. But the thing is there's, you know, and people need you to believe that there's one supplier of turkesterone, you know, and I guess in the United States or maybe in the world, but no, there's at least two that do the same compound that Greg and Derek were using. Now, there are other options as well for companies that use essentially pure turkesterone, or at least far more of it, that's actually backed by labs that I searched and searched and searched and could not find negative results about them. And I'll show you one. One is, where's my bottle? The Black Forest one. And again, I don't get paid by them. I just get free turkesterone to review. And if I thought it sucked, why would I continue to get a free supplement that sucks? Like, especially one that, you know, technically, unless you do some little loophole type of staggering type of stuff, you can't even use with the Tongan Ali. But, you know, I found a way, and that's in a video here. I'll go ahead and put that video. But anyways, what I'm getting to is with theirs, okay, so here's Wellness Primal, who's another company stuff that I'm actually trying out right now. And I have a video where I'm staggering these together to see if the results change, to see which compound, you know, I know which results I get from this one. If I'm also, you know, putting this into my protocol back and forth, and I get bigger results, then, well, it'd be at least anecdotal evidence that this one works better. But anyways, what I'm getting to, and I get to a little bit of the science stuff here in a few, even though I'm not good at explaining it, even though I've done extensive research to essentially understand it as good as a layman can. So here you have, I doubt you're going to be able to see this, it'll probably be blurry, but with the Black Forest one, yeah, it's going to be blurry as hell. Anyways, theirs is, you know, 526 milligrams from the plant that the ecdysteroids come from, the whole herb, and it's specifically 500 milligrams of turkesterone. Now, you guys know that in the compound that Greg and Derek were selling, it was roughly a 10% thing. So that's similar to this one. And that compound is the HYDROXYPROPYL-BETA-CYCLODEXTRIN. Now, you guys can look that up. You can buy it individually. It helps your body to absorb supplements, medications, stuff like that much better. Okay? So I'm going to show you something at least about the Black Forest one. Okay, so they use a company called Summit Nutritional. Wait, I don't think that's the name of the testing. Or maybe it is. I can't remember. I have all the names kind of listed and then scribble on here. But anyways, they use a testing company that has essentially no negative response. I mean, on the internet at least. And on every scientific website I could find, every bit of feedback I could find, even Indeed pages of guys who do this kind of research did not have anything negative to say about the companies for them or them. But anyways, if you take a look at theirs, I don't know if you can see the... Oh, geez, this is going to be very freaking difficult. Anyways, well, I'll just read it off. Theirs is a mass spectrometer test, which if you've watched Forensic Files, you know, identifies like every fucking material that's in something. So you're getting 500 milligrams per serving of turkesterone specifically. Then you've got 526 milligrams of Ajuga turkestanica. I have a hard time saying the name of the plant. Turkestanica. Ajuga, whatever. Anyways, that's 526 milligrams of that on top of the turkesterone. You know, it tells you that there's actually a tiny bit of arsenic in it, a tiny bit of cadmium, lead, mercury. This is a mass spectrometer test because usually those are used to test for metal. Anyways, so you are getting more than the content that you're getting from Greg and Derek as far as just the Ajuga, turkestacan. Wow. I see. I would have practiced that a few times if I could edit this. And you're getting pure turkesterone, 500 milligrams. Now, it is missing the hydroxy part of the compound that you're getting from these other guys. But something interesting I found in the scientific literature, and this is very important about turkesterone, is turkesterone and ecdysterone are molecularly identical. You can look that up. You can actually literally, like I did, take the two molecular structures, create two layers on Photoshop, put them on top of each other. They're exactly the same, except the only difference is turkesterone adds a hydroxide compound, essentially it's salt, which is the reason why so many people jump to turkesterone probably being more powerful per milligram than was ecdysterone. Okay, so making it more bioavailable. Now, the compound that's in these other guys' stuff does the same thing. Now, when it comes to, and like I said, I'm now trying the Wellness Primal one staggered with the Black Forest. Theirs does have that hydroxypropyl-beta-cyclodextrin as kind of a, I guess you could call it a delivery agent as well, because it absorbs better and is delivered to your system, but it's basically an absorption thing, makes it more bioavailable. So, you know, I'm willing to trust theirs as far as the actual plant, the actual turkesterone extracted from the plant more, because they have far more literature on their website. They actually have, the Amazon listing actually, I believe, had more as far as the Wellness Primal one. But they use a lab that's, you know, far more credible. And what I'll do is I'll actually link to the lab and or give the name to it in the description here. So essentially it's two different types of ways to do the same thing. I do know that extracting pure turkesterone is very expensive. And, you know, that's another thing I found. I found a few laboratories / retailers, or I guess they'd be wholesalers because they do bulk, but they also sell to the public. I found a few of those guys who particularly cited a couple of in vitro studies and rat studies that said that turkesterone was going to be better for you, be more optimal than using ecdysterone. And the interesting thing about that is they sell both. Why would they claim one's better than the other? Well, you would claim the one that costs you less money is better, probably, or just avoid the topic in general. I mean, you'd say they're both great. That's what you do in sales. They're both fantastic. There's good, better, best. There's never anything that sucks. Okay. And there's no sucks, sucks less, barely sucks. Okay. So I found that, and I don't know. I guess I can link to them too if I remember to in the description. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not hawking stuff for them. But all I'm saying is that many of these guys who sell both were touting turkesterone based on certain studies and things of that nature, and based on science. When you read up on this stuff, it begins to make sense why you would think that. Now, like I said, there's no proof of it, but then again, there's barely proof on ecdysterone. Okay, there's barely proof on anything. I gave an example in one of the comments on Greg's video that there's essentially almost no studies on BPC 157, which I am finally dropping the video for here in a minute. This shit's a fucking miracle. It's known by science to be body protective compound 157. It's known to protect. It's known to heal. But yet, you put that shit on the market, most pharmaceuticals are out the damn window. Now, that might not be the conspiratory case of turkesterone or any of this other, androgen supporting or reuptake types of things, but it still stands to reason that there's not a lot of studies on it, something that could really be a breakthrough. That's strange. So let's do our own study. Now, I did the other video that I guess I already linked it to. I don't think I can link to another. I did the other video that was my results on turkesterone, and not as thorough as Vitruvian's Physique, who I'll get to in a minute, but I really stuck to the same amount of calories. I didn't change my my cardio. If anything, I did less cardio, and maybe I did eat a little bit more. Yeah, I was looking over that yesterday just to make sure that I was completely truthful with you guys. And I had lost weight, but clearly built more muscle, and my strength was the main thing. And that's what I'm finding in a lot of more scientifically backed people, companies, research groups, is that they believe that the strength aspect is far bigger than the muscle building aspect of turkesterone. That's kind of been my result. Now with Vitruvian, he was so scientific with it. And, hey, maybe you guys don't take the Dexicant seriously, but he paid out of pocket to do that shit. He monitored every damn gram of everything in his diet and all that kind of stuff. And I believe he gained 2.5 pounds of muscle, essentially. His physique looked slightly better. And in the end, basically, not to spoiler alert his video, but he basically said turkesterone, he can't advise buying it because it did give him results, but it gave him about the same results as creatine or a very, 10% of what a pro bodybuilder uses, if that amount of Anavar would give you. So, he laid out the prices. That amount of Anavar would be like $59 or something like that, I guess, allegedly. The creatine would cost you like $30, which I'm going to have to buy through him because that's pretty good for 90-day supply. I think I pay more than that right now. Anyways, and it would be $450 for the turkesterone. Now, if you're truly getting 10 times more turkesterone out of a manufacturer that uses essentially 100% Turk, then it would be $45. Or if the delivery system is making it more bioavailable, and say the Wellness Primal one, say it's making it 4 times more bioavailable. Well, then, it's a little over $100 for that supply. Me personally, even though my money's low right now, I would advise that if you have a few bucks to spend on your overall fitness and you're working towards bodybuilding goals, why wouldn't you spend the $30 on creatine and the $45 to $100 on the turkesterone and kind of like double what you're getting as far as results go? Now, I've got some other notes here. One thing I'll talk about here is that nearly everyone who's done an independent thing, an independent trial, call it anecdotal, but there's even a guy with like the Tampa Bay Times who's taken very seriously There's Dr. Axe. Sorry, I think I had a technical thing there. Now, Dr. Axe is a guy who's kind of a leading doctor on natural health. I guess you could just, most supplements are covered under that if you're not using supplement for the wrong terminology. Anyways, you know, he's a guy who's written countless books. He's cited by the major publications and websites for his research and his information, his science-backed stuff. Jerry Brainum was another guy who broke down the science on it and said, yeah, I definitely see how this could work. I'm sure a lot of you guys know the validity of that guy. There's a guy at the Tampa Bay Times who's really knowledgeable. I believe he's an outside guy who was hired because of his knowledge on these types of things. As far as those two, anyway, Dr. Axe and the guy here at Tampa Bay Times, they've done their own kind of trial, their own experiment on themselves. Both of them actually said, you know, when it comes down to it, you get great results from both of these compounds. However, the ecdysterone was the one that they would go to before they'd go to turkesterone. But that even seems invalid to me, because I believe both of their claims that you need to take at least 10 times more turkesterone. So they got results. And the results were kind of small. I want to say it was like 5 pounds of muscle, something like that. So you mean to tell me that you're able to measure that you gained a ½ pound of muscle from the turkesterone? So even that, the 10 times, or actually I believe one of them said you'd have to take like 8 grams of turkesterone a day. But that particular study website was tied to someone selling ecdysterone. So go figure. So, I mean, there's a lot of biased stuff out there, which is why I kind of covered what this stuff was studied for in the first place. Obviously, it does have androgenic effects. The science behind the claimed androgenic effects, it's pretty clean. It's pretty streamlined, easy to understand. I won't go over it again because most of these guys have. That part of their claims has always been true. Okay, so I mean, what I'm the main thing that I'm saying here is that you guys don't, you know, especially if you had good results, or you're close to someone who had good results, or, you know, someone you take seriously had good results from turkesterone, don't just write it off because of Greg's video and because of this so-called controversy. You have to remember, nothing about turkesterone was proven or disproven about this, except that guys were selling something saying it was turkesterone and it wasn't. Who's to say they wouldn't have got bigger gains if it was actually turkesterone? You know, so to have a guy paint it that way, and I understand, I don't believe he said the words in his video, no, turkesterone doesn't work. But his whole point was that I never said it worked. You know, what I did is I realized it was ecdysterone that worked for me, and now by my ecdysterone, I'm changing it to Ecdy Builder. And it's like, wait a minute, you know, anybody who listens to that, watches that, who takes it seriously at all is going to be like, okay, turkesterone bad, ecdysterone good. That's what got those results, which was like 4 pounds of muscle in a month. It's nothing crazy, but I've had good results from it. And like I said, I'll be doing a video here to update my results as far as staggering these two. I do have a 90-day report video I'm going to drop as far as my turkesterone results. I had given you, I think, a 30-day or 45, something like that, where I did have a good result from it. So we'll see what happens here with this, and I will tell you what happened in just over 90 days. You know, I'm not going to tell you here, but the thing with that is a lot of people said, like, beyond 90 days, you'll stop getting gains, almost like newbie gains type of stuff. Whereas anybody with a scientific background actually kind of said the opposite, it seems like, that it's something that needs to kind of like build up in your system, and that your body will maybe become trained to muscle protein synthesis occurring more often, which is kind of what I took from it. So that's neither here nor there. You'll find out what my results were from it here soon. I will tell you right now, it's nothing dramatic. It's nothing crazy. But I just wanted to take a moment because I'm somebody who, you know, comes out here sort of on a limb and basically, you know, risk my credibility saying this stuff works for me. And now all of a sudden, it's funny. Since Greg made that video, there's like dozens of new videos saying, Turkesterone's a scam. Turkesterone's a scam. Like, there's a bunch of them, like, when the whole test thing happened. But now there's even more. And it's like, man, nothing's been proven or disproven about turkesterone. All I've seen is a lot of guys saying, man, it's great. And the rest of the guys that try it say, it's decent. You know, I guess it might have been worth the money. But one thing I don't think I covered before the video glitched out of me there is I don't even think Greg knows why all this occurred. Okay? See, the company that actually commissioned this study on this testing on his product, and inadvertently Derek's too, the product that came from the same manufacturer, you know, fell under that umbrella. It's Nootropics Depot, who you may remember from my Tonga Ali reviews, stuff that worked, but it made me really sick. And then the Aqua Rally one not only didn't make me sick, but worked better. Anyways, they had an ecdysteroid. I know this from a supplement company I talk to regularly. They had a product that was an ecdysterone or ecdysteroid, overall, bunch of them mixed. I'm not even sure if it was a bunch mixed or if it's just ecdysterone. Anyways, check their website, whatever. Just don't get suckered into buying something by a company that pulls this trick. They commissioned this because turkesterone was basically eating up the market for, you know, basically the same type of supplement. And they had this ecdysterone thing they wanted to put out, probably because what I mentioned earlier, that, you know, ecdysterone's about 10 times cheaper. So they went after their stuff. What's interesting about that is they didn't go after results. They couldn't. They went after the contents. That's interesting to me, because what they did here is not only did they show that Greg and Derek and whoever else aren't credible because, you know, it wasn't labeled what it was supposed to be, they showed that ecdysteroids, for the millions of fans of those guys, work. So now they discredited those guys, and they are the ones bringing you the real ecdysterone supplement. Do you guys see what I'm saying here? Not only were they going after the Turk because they want to push an ecdysterone product, they're going after the credibility of those guys, proving that there's ecdysterone in their supplements. So all those results are real. The credibility's bad, but we're the guys who exposed it. Come buy from us, which makes you wonder, did they know what was in that manufacturer's product that Greg and Derek are getting their stuff from? I bet you they did. They've been around a long time. But either way, that's the reason all of this happened. It was basically a hating-ass company who couldn't find a more creative way to take that market share, so they went after that guy's product. It's going to happen, I guess. To be honest, that's another move that's very intelligent, in my opinion, but I thought I would put that out there because then you can see the kind of cause and effect that went through this whole thing. And maybe Greg does know about it and doesn't say that because, you know, it would seem like sour grapes. It would convolute everything. And so I would get that if he didn't. So I'm not totally saying that Greg is, you know, a snake oil salesman or any of that. He made sure ahead of time that he could never be painted as that by saying, I don't know if this works. But all I'm saying is, forget whether this works or not. Okay, it's hard to do, you know, your own study. It's almost impossible, obviously. He couldn't do that, but could he have at least done a test to see if turkesterone was in the product he was selling before he sold it to you? I think that he could, because he just did it to save face, to continue selling to you. So that's what I'm bothered about. I've gotten, you know, good results from this. I've put a lot of effort into, even though I didn't want to, keeping my diet the same, keeping my cardio the same, doing before and after pictures, you know, monitoring my weight, my measurements, everything else, my strength. You know, a lot of that I do anyway, but I was hyper focused on this stuff just to make sure I was giving you guys a real review. And meanwhile, I have a guy come through and go, hey man, buy ecdysterone. I was wrong about Turk because Turk was never in my bottle. What? How does that even work? I mean, in all seriousness, you know, a street version of this would be like, hey, here's some cocaine. And, you know, the guy buying it obviously wants an upper. So he uses it. It's great. But then the guy says, oh, fuck, my bad. You know, just in case somebody tested or whatever. Shit. I got to be honest with you, man. That was like speed. It was like crystal meth mixed with some other bullshit. I didn't know. My supplier kind of screwed me on that. I apologize. Here, I'm going to. Oh, you did get the upper buzz from it. See, you like it then, right? Okay, well here, I'm gonna give this. I'm gonna sell you this next bag, but I'm gonna call it amphetamine. Trust me, it's amphetamine. Got it from the same guy, but he's telling the truth this time. And I'm telling you the truth this time. So make sure you buy this. Seriously? Even if you did realize, oh, I really like this drug, not that you should ever use that kind of bullshit, but it's just, it's common sense, people. It really bothers me because I'm really working hard to be a part of this space to kind of like dispel a lot of BS for people. And it's like, you got guys that are kind of twisting and turning things, and like I said, almost in a politician's skill level in that realm. You know, it's amazing to me. But anyways, I'm sure there's stuff I forgot. I had all kinds of things scribbled down and whatnot. You know, and also just to let you know, ecdysterone has 3 tests since 1976 as far as on humans monitoring muscle growth and strength increase and stuff like that. And if I'm not mistaken, one of them came back as it not even fucking working. So you're kind of comparing 2 things here that have no data behind them except what we create. And like I said in my original video about this stuff, that does matter. It really does. There's some really credible guys who had great results from this. Now, before they do what Greg's doing and say, oh man, turkesterone's bullshit, but those gains I told you guys about, they're not a lie. I monitor my stuff. It's definitely right. So go get ecdysteroids. Before they do that, they should find out what the hell was even in the turkesterone that they took. They don't know. Greg and them have you thinking that all of them are the same. That's not true. There's more than one supplier. And something I should remind people of, more than one batch. I mean, this stuff's only tested every now and then. The FDA does a real shit job of, you know, going over this stuff. I mean, if something says meets FDA standards, I'm like, so, you know, so take from it what you will. Just be on the lookout for people that really spin things in a really crafty way, you know, that deflect negativity onto things. Whereas it really didn't need to be spun that way. I don't see any reason for it. But the rebranding obviously is an intelligent move, and you know, I do give some respect for being honest about it, but you fucking have to be. When you're caught dead to rights about something and you admit it, you're not owed anything, you know? And if you decide to spin that same tale to somebody after that and they believe you, that's on them. It's not necessarily wrong of you to do. It's just ethically fucked up, in my opinion. But anyways, guys, I've got some great progress videos to show you guys from the 6-week thing, some things that I learned that I think will be useful for people, and other supplement reviews. And like I said, the Black Forest turkesterone, formulated a different way. I've gotten good results from it. Can't say that it's better than the other type. I can say it's probably better than the type that doesn't have any turkesterone in it. And the Wellness Primal one, so far I have good things to say about this, but I'm going to wait to make the video. We'll see what happens. And in the meantime, you guys, read up a bit on stuff before you take it. Even if you see studies that tell you the results, I know the results are what we're after. We don't have a lot of time to really look into things. Just do a little reading on the actual science of it. Because for the most part, you can kind of extract things that make sense to you just in a commonsensical way. And you can say, okay, I can see how this would work. You'll feel a lot better. Even if people start bad-mouthing what you take, you'll feel better about it. You know, you'll be able to say, okay, it blocks estrogen here. It decreases leucine, blah, blah, blah. You'll be able to see, or increases leucine, whatever. You'll be able to see that and say, okay, I feel good trying this. And if these guys come out and say it doesn't work, well, my results are valid because I see some of the science and maybe I'm a good responder to it. And that's something I've also said from the start. Greg, all those guys, I give them credit for saying it too. Some people are responders to stuff. Who knows? Your body could work in a way where you take anything new and you build more muscle. You know, at my age, that doesn't work. Oh, and Tonga Ali updates coming soon. an ashwagandha review from a particular manufacturer, and an ashwagandha I'm going to go on here soon. So lots of stuff, lots of experiments, trying things out so you don't have to, never selling you BS. I am the middle-aged muscle man musician, Donald Pump. And on that note, I say peace.